This is an overview of the Lakota Perspective research paper that is the first of 2 research papers that are part of the Ed 313 Ed Psychology class. The guidelines for the paper are available starting in week 3. And when you open it up, there are guidelines that go with the assignment. First of all, the overview of this paper is that in this changing world, it's imperative that educators embrace diversity and honor all cultures. So for this paper, you are going to be asked to do the following. First, number 1, you'll examine the need for culturally relevant teaching. Number 2, your research will begin with identifying what culturally relevant teaching means. 3, then provide evidence of the need for teachers to utilize culturally relevant practices. 4th, you'll move on to cite specific ways to make teaching and learning experiences culturally relevant. And then finally, you'll conclude with your vision, including a final justification for your vision for making your classroom an environment that honors diversity. I would strongly encourage you to consider using these headings, especially the portions that are underlined, to serve as headings for your paper as you start to write it, to ensure that you address the items that are supposed to be addressed without wandering off topic. I'm not looking for a lengthy paper full of words. Instead, I'm looking for a paper that addresses these 5 items here. You will present your conclusions as a professional research paper using the attached rubric for guidance, and we'll look at that next. All papers must be typed using Times New Roman font 12 and double-spaced. These specifications come from the APA format. Your paper should have at a minimum 3 professional resources, and they should all be cited following the APA format. If you need help with the APA format, I'd strongly encourage you look at the online writing lab, OWL, at Purdue University. It is referenced on the Ogallala Lakota Library's website, and it is also referenced on our class virtual campus site. Your paper, the narrative portion of it, should be a minimum of 4 to 5 pages in length. The narrative portion does not include the title page, the abstract, or the reference pages. It is just that middle section of your paper where the majority of your information is shared. An additional item that is part of this assignment comes from OLC's General Education Outcome Number 2, that states that across all departments, students should be able to communicate effectively in writing using both Lakota and English. This assignment has been identified as an assignment where it will be submitted to a college-wide committee to review for this particular outcome. And so the way in which we would like you to address this outcome is that the introduction that you include at the beginning should be a personal one about who you are. You may choose to include who your family is, what community you are from, and or any other information you care to share. At a minimum, we would like you to try to write your name introduction in Lakota. Write as many of the remaining pieces in Lakota as you are comfortable. You may seek assistance with this introduction from family members, Lakota instructors, or others if you are not comfortable with this. Since this paper is your view on culturally relevant, responsive teaching, This self-introduction sets your stage for what you believe about culturally relevant, responsive teaching. Okay, and so this particular outcome is, just as a point of information, is addressed in 4 different classes throughout your journey in your educational degree. In this case, it's an Ed 313. Another point in time you would have perhaps wrote a paper similar to this would have been in child growth. You would also write one in materials and techniques in the preschool early childhood program, and you would also address a similar paper and topic in human relations. The following is the Lakota Perspective Research Paper Grading Rubric. You can see the different elements of the paper that we will be looking at. These first ones up here on top are the ones related to the Lakota perspective piece that I just talked about. And so those will be looked for. And of course, what we'll want to do is to seek to perform at this level, at the exceptional level in all of these elements. But as you go down, you'll notice that we have the typical elements of good writing. The focus of your paper, its flow and organization, the tone, the Lakota perspective related to the topic. Does it demonstrate critical thinking? Does it honor diversity? And diversity does not mean just one culture. It means more than one, more than 2, perhaps 3 or more. You will be judged on sentence structure and your word choice. Your mechanics and the writing process will be looked at, and specifically for the APA. So be sure to reference the website, the OWL website, to ensure that you are doing it correctly. And then your sources or references will also be looked at, and to see if they have been correctly cited. And then following the length or narrative of your paper. Again, if your paper is short, it will have lower points assigned to it. So this is the rubric that your paper will be judged on. It should guide how you approach this paper. Primarily, this is your guidance for writing your paper.